Man, after all of this time, I can't believe that I can actually say that Attack on Titan is over. I've really been watching this show for 10 years. It sure don't feel like 10 years, I'll say that. It feels longer than that, but also way shorter than that at the same time. Feels like I've been in the past myself while I was watching the show. But this behemoth of an anime, a true cultural icon that will be remembered for years, has concluded. And I must say that I and many others aren't too happy about that. Not because the show ended, but because what happened in the ending. I've been an anime only watcher of Attack on Titan since the show began back in 2013. Wow, that's fucking crazy to hear out loud. I've had my ups and downs about the show in general, but overall, starting with the second season and beyond, with each episode I watched, I was becoming a bigger and bigger fan of the show.
I loved Attack on Titan. I still really love this show, with all the amazing hype, mind-bending, plot-twisting goodness of it all. But with this ending, it recontextualized many of the events and premises that the show gives you, and for the most part, not for the better. So that's what I want to talk about in this video, about how much I love this show, and how the ending kind of let me down in a lot of ways. So my dear viewers, sit back, relax, as I take you back through the world of Attack on Titan, and figure out Attack on Titan's ending. What the fuck is up with that?
So this should be incredibly obvious, but I'm going to say it anyways. I'm going to be spoiling all of Attack on Titan, including the ending. So like the whole thing, the whole king and caboodle, okay? So if you don't want to get spoiled, I suggest watching all of Attack on Titan, which I still recommend you do despite how I feel about the ending. And then come on back to this video once you're done. Alright? Cool? Okay, let's do this.
This video might not be as structured as some of my other videos, because it's mainly just going to be my thoughts and opinions on the show. But first I want to talk about the rest of the show before the ending, and what I loved about it so much. Then we'll tackle the ending together, as I explore the different facets of what happens, and break down exactly what my problems are with it.
Before the ending of the show, I'll definitely admit that I was a big fan of Attack on Titan. From season 2 onwards, season 1 is alright, but lacking in a lot of ways. But the rest of the show just kept building upon itself, and as new reveals kept coming into play, I became more invested in the show as it went on. I would go so far as to say that Attack on Titan was one of my favorite anime, but I will admit, this ending and its recontextualization on many of the events that happened prior has soured my opinion on the show just a bit. Many aspects of the ending I found very unsatisfying, confusing, and just downright bad when it comes to the themes explored. So now let's take a deep dive into what actually happens in the end of Attack on Titan. Starting off, there are actually elements of the ending that I really enjoy. The final fight on Eren's back was incredible, with some great twists and turns. I totally called that those Titans that they were fighting were the past generations of the 9 Titans, and I got so hyped at the reveal of that. Seeing what the past 9 Titans looked like was so fucking cool, man. I just gotta admit. The past Titans we haven't seen before, to past characters who have died coming back in Titan form to fight our heroes, was super awesome to see. I like the bird Falco. It's a bit on the nose, but his design was very cool. There were a ton of beautiful and genuinely human moments that touched my heart, like Jean and Ryder talking about their odds of winning the fight, or Connie and John accepting that they're going to get turned into Titans, or all of the moments in which there were multiple, where everyone was like, yeah, we gotta kill Eren, but still struggling with that a bit. My favorite of these moments though was when Armin has a conversation with Zeke in the paths. With Zeke being dejected, not seeing the point in life. And so Armin shows up and reminds him that all of the little insignificant moments in life are the moments that people treasure the most. That was a really great touch and led to an amazing wrap up of Zeke's story, where he is eventually killed by Levi. Levi finally completing Armin's final order. The scene of the rumbling and the baby has to have some of the greatest direction I have ever seen in an anime. And it was truly heartbreaking as well. The Titans gaining consciousness in paths and helping out in our fight was another one of my favorite moments in the ending. It was really great seeing all of these old dead characters kicking ass again. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to stuff I liked about the ending.
I don't even know how to start the next section, to be honest. But we gotta try something, right? So next up, I'll lay out my biggest problems with the ending and try to hit them one by one. Alright? Cool? Let's do this. The biggest points of contention when it comes to the ending are the themes and takeaways that you're supposed to get from the ending, the reasonings for why the ending happens in the first place, and that sort of ties into this last thing about Eren's character as a whole and what he represents.
Let's ease our way into this by talking about the general themes and messages that the ending gives us. So let's just get into it. There's a lot to cover here, so let's just go one by one. One of the biggest feelings that I got when I was watching the ending was this avalanche of despair and feeling like this was all kind of done for nothing. Because low key, not even low key, high key, the highest of keys, it kind of all was for nothing. One of the lines that Eren says to Armin in the end was that there was nothing they can do to stop Eren from killing 80% of the world's population. 80 fucking percent. Then after all this is done, and Eren is dead, what Eren set out to do, which is to end the conflict of the outside world for Paradis, doesn't even happen. The conflict continues, and will continue for hundreds of years apparently. I got some real doomer energy from the theme spouted in the ending. The fact that nothing changes, even after Eren does this horrific act, kinda leads to this feeling of, well, what was all that for anyways? Why did all those people have to die? Couldn't anything else be done? And the answer is yes. Things could have been done differently, but for reasons I'll explain in a later section, it had to go this way. I'm not a fan of this doomer, nihilistic, there was nothing else we could have done type of messaging. It almost makes it seem like Eren was doing the right thing by genociding the entire world, because at least then there would actually be no conflict. Which is an insane thing to think, and Armin even tells Eren this in the ending. Another takeaway that I just find ridiculous about the ending is that the fascists end up winning in the end. During the final season, Eren started and led a military coup under his name with a rebel group called the Jaegerists. The Jaegerists literally use fascist rhetoric and reasonings in order to justify their actions. They must wipe out all of their enemies before they wipe us out. Might overall. Dedicate your heart and fight for the betterment of your race and your country. I wouldn't be surprised if they started chanting blood and soil as they watched the rumbling happen. Yeah, they're portrayed as villains in the beginning, but they end up taking over Paradis in Eren's absence, and pretty much make Paradis into a fascist military dictatorship. That's fucking crazy that this is where we end on, with the fascists winning and nothing really being done about them. Armin and the rest of the scouts are going to talk to them and share their story, but what the fuck has that ever done about fascism? Not much. I'm sorry, I think that this is a wild way to end your story, with the people who were literally just villains a couple of episodes ago being the sole leaders of Paradis. That's just nutty to me. So yeah, that I'm not a big fan of.
When it comes to the reasonings as to why the ending even happened this way in the first place, there's a huge, colossal, titan-sized elephant in the room. And that elephant is named, why the fuck do you need to pick between genocide and genocide? I know, long name, but it's worth it, trust me. Anyways, yeah, genocide. What the fuck is up with that?
But the story sets up the world, where the Eldians are hated because they can turn into flesh-eating monsters called Titans. And the entire world blames Paradis for all of the world's problems. And so Marley, the country that holds Eldians in concentration camps and makes them fight in their wars, is trying to take the Founding Titan ability and destroy Paradis for good. All of this is happening, by the way, while an Eldian family called the Tibers are secretly in control of Marley, and is just letting all of this happen. Anti-Semitic conspiracy radar starts to beep. But anyways, all of this to say is that Paradis is in an impossibly difficult situation that they can't get themselves out of. So the only solutions that are brought up as viable is that either make the Eldians sterile with the power of the Founding Titan and let the Eldian race die out, or kill every one of our enemies around the world so that no one will ever attack us again. Why are these our only two options? I feel like there could have been a ton of other things that characters could have brought up in order to fix this scenario. One option that I always thought of was that why don't they use the Founding Titan's ability to stop people from turning into Titans? Just take the ability away and see if they can try and do peace talks or try anything else other than the two extremely fucked up options provided. This isn't really brought up much, but this strange dichotomy relates to the nihilistic doomer themes of the show.
The fact that the characters have to pick between genocide and genocide is bad enough. But the reason why they even have to make this choice in the first place is because a certain someone has all of the power in this scenario. It's just something that he wanted to do. This is my least favorite part of the ending, because it made me feel so unsatisfied with its events. This left me scratching my head. All right, it's finally time to talk about Aaron Yeager and his actions.
Eren is a character that had a lot of ups and downs with me, but overall, I ended up really enjoying his character. In Season 1 and most of Season 2, he is the typical angry anime protagonist looking to get revenge for his family and kill all of the Titans. His headstrong attitude certainly got him into trouble, but there were things to like, I suppose. At this point of the story, I wasn't the biggest fan of his character, though I did enjoy how angry he got sometimes. That all changed in Season 3, where Eren actually becomes a thinking, feeling person. A lot of that anger is stripped away for a more thoughtful and remorseful character. I loved his change into being a more well-adjusted person, and I felt like the show needed that if they were ever going to take the story to the next level, which definitely did happen. After Eren reads his dad's journals, sees his dad's memories, and kisses Historia's hand at the medal ceremony, seeing what his future holds, Eren's disposition changes. When we see him again in Season 4, Eren is cold, calculating, and vicious, as he kills innocent people and his enemies, all in the name of moving forward towards his goals. When watching the final season, I'm not gonna lie, I actually really liked this change. It made Eren feel distant from us when he used to feel so close. The main reason why I was on board with this personality change was because I wanted to know why he was doing all of this. What was the real reason for his actions? Why are you pushing away everyone that you love? Why? I really wanted to know, so I was suckered into being invested into Eren's character and actions. Each small reveal getting me even more excited and asking even more questions, until those questions got answers. And yeah, about that. So we get to the last chapter, the final scenes between Eren and Armin. And man, do I feel so weird about these scenes. So Eren starts off by telling Armin that the reason why he pushed all of his friends away is so that they can become heroes to the world by killing him. He pretty much tried to do the Zero Requiem without all of the setup and planning. After Eren is dead, they can go across the world and foster peace talks with the world leaders, I suppose, and lead Paradis into a happier, more stable future. Which sounds good on paper, if not for the fact that given what Eren did, that would never happen. And Armin even points this out to him, saying that they'll never become the heroes like he wanted them to be. So this justification for his actions falls flat on his face, because the majority of the rest of the world is dead, and Eren killed them. 80%, man! Who is there to talk to? Other than the other Malayans that are still alive at the air station. And I guess whoever else still survived the rumbling around the world. But I doubt there's much that they're going to discuss. Next they talk about the founder Ymir. And while I don't really want to focus on it too much in this video, how Ymir's character and your motivations were handled were quite strange to say the least. Being a slave for 2,000 years because you loved your abuser has some weird takeaways. That, yeah, I don't really want to get into it. I don't really feel qualified to talk about that kind of stuff, but yeah, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Eren then states that the other reason why he was doing all of this is because he saw the conclusion of his actions of the future and knows that Mikasa does something in order to bring about what he saw. Okay, I can kind of get behind that. Him doing whatever it takes in order to get to that outcome. It kind of makes Eren a tragic character, since he didn't actually want to kill all of those people. No way he actually did want to kill all of those people. Now we get to the final scene between Eren and Armin. This is where it all goes out of the window for me. Well, for the most part. Seeing Eren cry and whine about not wanting Mikasa to find another man after he's dead and not wanting to die was actually a pretty good scene. I know a lot of people don't think so, for multiple reasons. Some people didn't like this scene because it breaks the illusion Eren had of being this Giga Chad who didn't care about anyone's feelings. Which doesn't make any sense because he literally says that it was all an act, a facade, at the beginning of the chapter. I actually like that scene because we get to see Eren have emotions again, and not have to put up this uncaring front. It kind of reminds me of Season 3 Eren. The main reason why this ending scene doesn't work for me though, is when Eren reveals the extent of what he did to Armin. He says that he killed 80% of humanity, and that it was always going to be like this. No matter what anyone else did, 80% of the world's population is killed, no exceptions. Armin asked him why he did it, why kill all these people? And Eren, the brilliant character he is, says, I don't know. I don't know?
I'm sorry, I had to go on camera for this one. What the fuck do you mean I don't know? I've been following your character this entire final season, broken up in all of these stupid parts, constantly questioning and wanting to know why you're doing all of this. And the answer is I don't know. Oh, I was so frustrated by this. But that's not all Eren says, though. He also says that he wanted to do it. He wanted to kill all of these people. Why? Just because he wanted to.
Now I know in the episode before the last episode, we get some insights into why he wanted to do the rumbling. And it has to do with his disappointment with the outside world. The world around Eren was nothing like what he saw in Armin's book. A clear, abandoned world full of discovery and adventure. When Eren went overseas to Marley, he finds out the cold hard truth, that life in the walls of Paradis is just like life in the outside world. They're the same. And that realization is one of the main motivations for killing 80% of the world's population? I'm sorry, but that's not gonna cut it. That's fucking nuts to me. But then it goes even further. When Armin asks Eren, didn't you do this? Didn't you kill all of these people? Why not just stop? And Eren pretty much says, well, I can't stop because I don't want to stop. But I do want to stop, but I don't. It's very confusing because in reality, Eren can easily stop what he's doing and find another way. There's nothing in his way. Nothing is spurring him on to do this. He isn't forced to do this against his will. He's choosing to do this because he's too weak not to do it. He says that he tries to change the outcome of what he knows in the future and that his changes don't work. It all happens exactly as his memories say. This would be interesting if it was an outside force making Eren follow all of these actions. But it's himself. He's telling himself, hey, you're gonna do some fucked up shit. And he's just like, okay. Why wouldn't he be able to change his actions if it's actually on in his control? Because he's sending the memories to himself. It doesn't make any sense to me. He has all of the power to stop this, but he just chooses not to. The reason Eren gives as to why he couldn't change the future also left me confused, but also intrigued in a way. Because he says he couldn't change the future that's pretty much in the palm of his hand to change. The reason why he doesn't is because he's an idiot. An idiot who got his hands on an immense amount of power and didn't know what to do with it. He couldn't change the future because that's pretty much all he could come up with. Now there's a more interesting angle to see this, because it goes into the whole who should have power thing and what should be under certain people's control and whatnot. And I totally get that, really do. But am I the only one who found this answer real unsatisfying? You couldn't change the future because you couldn't come up with any other solution other than killing the entire world's population? You couldn't have, I don't know, asked any of the people around you what to do? Couldn't you have taken any advice from the smartest guy around and your best friend Armin? No? That's it? It's because you're an idiot. I'm not making up that phrase, by the way. The show actually says this. Look. Everything about this scene and Eren's explanations left me with a real bad taste in my mouth. Like all of the questions I had were just answered with pretty much nothing answers. It's really frustrating. Anyways, Armin says that he'll take half the responsibility on him for showing Eren the book of the outside world. Which is nuts, by the way, because how could he have known any of this was going to happen? But regardless, Eren and Armin say that they'll see each other in hell. And another scene that I thought was pretty good. And we've returned to the aftermath of the final fight. Eren is dead, and we find what the conclusion that Eren saw in the future was. What Mikasa did was kill Eren, and in doing that, the power of the Titans is no more. No Eldian can ever turn into a Titan again. And while that's great and all, it begs the question, why didn't Eren just do this in the first place? He has control over all Eldians and their bodies. He could have done this at any time when he took control of the Founding Titan and joined Ymir. So why didn't he? He says it's because he doesn't want to take away his friend's freedom. But I don't think that's all to the story. Remember when Eren was talking about not wanting to leave Mikasa and his friends? And not wanting to die? I feel like that has some significance to this, and as to why he did the rumbling in the first place. Now, this is just my thoughts on the matter, and I would love to hear other people's thoughts on this as well. No matter what Eren chose to do, he still would have died in 4 years. Whether it was to do the rumbling, Zeke's euthanasia, god damn it, Zeke's euthanasia plan, or to get rid of all the Titans himself, Eren still would have died. I'm assuming that if he took away all the Titan powers from the Eldians, he still would be the last Titan, the founding Titan. Because of that, his 13-year curse will still play out. Because of this, because he couldn't live out the rest of his life with the people he loved, he pushed them away and had to follow his asinine plan that he made up, by the way, so that he could be killed and not have to deal with the dread of not being able to be with your loved ones because of your impending death. This is all headcanon shit, by the way, but I found it to be pretty compelling as to figuring out what was going through Eren's head. He's still a fucking idiot though.
So yeah, Attack on Titan is over, and I'm not that pleased about it. Despite everything I don't like about the ending though, I still really love this series. I wouldn't be making this video if I didn't love this story, but I had to bring up my true thoughts about the ending at least, because in my opinion, it just isn't that great. But that shouldn't stop you from liking the ending if you did. And if you did, please let me know why in the comments. I'm really curious about people's thoughts about this ending, positive or otherwise. There are some problematic things about the ending and the story in general that I didn't really cover in this video, but if you want to hear more about those, definitely go watch Lost Futures videos on his channel. Both of the videos that he did about Attack on Titan are fantastic. You should definitely give them a watch. Alright, well, that's enough for me. If you like this video, like and subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. And tune in next time for something completely different. Peace.